And there it is. Happy Father's Day, everybody. I am
Happy
just
Father's Day, everybody.
Happy Father's Day.
give me just 1 second because I want to make sure. Okay, I should see him now. I'm just making sure my phone is in sync with what we're doing here. That way I will know who's commenting this week versus in case this thing decides not to tell me again. How's that? So we are open to comments. So before we get where we're going, Mr. G.I. John asked for a few minutes to go over some stuff. So it's all yours, John.
Okay. First of all, I know we have some Hot Wheel guys in our group. I know we don't usually talk Hot Wheels a lot, but Hot Wheels is a very big part of the toy industry. And so I at Walmart the other day, I saw this, and it's new for 2023, and I really thought it was cool. So apparently, the number one Hot Wheel of all time, according to Mattel, is a model that they came out with back in 1969 called the Twin Mill. And if you guys are familiar with Hot Wheels, you probably know it's the one that's got like two motors, one on each side of the car. But according to them, that's their number one Hot Wheel of all time. So they've actually, this year, they actually put one out with the logo for the National Federation of the Blind, and the car and the package is in Braille.
Oh, no way.
Wow,
but there's cool. Braille. You can feel the front of the packaging. There's Braille on it. And if you look,
can see it.
On the, yeah, you can see it right there. And on the side of the car, the back of the car, and on the other side, and on the bottom of the car. So it shows you here that on each side of the car, one side says twin, the other side says mill. And it says here that it says our most popular vehicle is back, and this time with Braille. Twin Mill, 68, and Hot Wheels are proudly displayed on this iconic speedster for an inclusive play experience. So I'm assuming 68 is what's on the trunk, and that's probably Hot Wheels on the bottom.
Probably, yeah.
But I saw that, and I thought that is really cool, and I think it's great that they've done this. I don't know if I thought maybe some of the sales might actually go to the Federation of the Blind. I don't know, but they do have the logo up there, and so I thought it was really interesting that they did that, and because I'm sure there's probably a lot of blind children that would love to have something like this that. That they could tell that it was a Hot Wheel because they can read it.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Cool. So I just thought that was worth a mention. And, they had several of them. I don't think it's going to be anything, super rare. But I thought it was neat. And, you guys may want to go out and pick you up one just to have it for the sake of having one. Because, like I said, it's something you don't see every day.
No, absolutely not. That's cool. Actually, that's very cool.
So anyway, I've been doing my spring cleaning kind of late, and I've been going through my attic over my man cave, and I told y'all a while back that I'd had another action figure case and I couldn't find it, and I finally found it, believe it or not, today. So today's segment, I guess, this week's segment is what did John find while he was cleaning? So this was the other one. It's called Combat, and it's like 3D. Yep. This sticks out, the characters and all. So it's not really a G.I. Joe case, but it is made by Tara Toy Corporation, which is the one that done that G.I. Joe case, Mm-hmm. And I thought it was neat because it says here, the perfect case for G.I. Joe, Bionic 6, and other combat figures and accessories up to 3 3/4. So it's, it's made for. I thought it was neat. They mentioned G.I. Joe and Bionic 6 specifically.
Yeah,
nice,
really cool.
And I still got the sticker $487 is what it cost at Walmart back in the day.
Wow.
So you guys remember? I guess back in the 80s or 90s when I believe it was Geraldo Rivera was going to open Al Capone's vault.
Yeah.
Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
So we're going to do something kind of small scale. We're going to open the vault here.
Oh, nice.
See what might be in this case. Make sure I get it on the right side. I can't ever tell. Everything's backwards when I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it is backwards.
All right. So it holds 24 figures. So nothing.
There you go, Geraldo. Same outcome.
Empty. What I was expecting.
I think he found a bottle in his.
I I don't know. I don't think
Probably.
you found anything in there. But actually, I know there's something in here because I've already looked. And it's something I was surprised. So if you look under, I always see people post, don't forget to look under trays when you find a case.
Right.
And I was sitting there thinking, maybe I'll look. Believe it or not, in the bottom, I don't know if you can see it. On the sides, sitting right there.
I can see something.
Something
Right
black.
here. It's Zartan's Pew.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And the weird thing is, I have not put anything in this case in probably 30 years.
Wow.
I bought this at the JoeCon in 2014 or 2015, and a few years ago I tried to find it. I could not find it nowhere. How it ended up in this case, I have no idea.
Wow. That's funny.
But I found it today. I said, there that is. I don't know how much it's worth. I give $5 for it back. Like I said, that was 2014 or 2015.
Wow.
So it may be worth more than that. No, I don't know. But anyhow, I bought another one because I never could find this one. So now I guess I got two.
Nice. Cool. Bonus.
Cool.
But yeah, I always thought that was kind of a neat case. It was, it wasn't G.I. Joe, but I didn't realize it was made by the same company that made the G.I. Joe case.
Cool.
But anyhow,
Very
there
cool.
you have it. And so did find something a little better than what they found in Al Capone's vault. So
That's definitely better than anything. I think they found an old wine bottle and a whole bunch of dust. That was it. There wasn't nothing else in that mess. But yeah, that was kind of funny, actually. Very cool, though.
Very cool.
Very cool. So, gentlemen, after a couple of months of teasing, I guess is the best way of putting it. I had been in touch, just long story short, I had been in touch with Mr. Hama before, before my mom passed. And then she passed right in the middle of us emailing back and forth. So I dropped the thread completely. And I told you guys, I'm going to try to reach out again, but I just don't think the man is going to respond to me. I thought I had completely pooched any opportunity of making this work. And I will tell you, the only reason I even found contact information for him, which is actually pretty rough, I saw by whatever happenstance or divine intervention or whatever you want to, whichever route you want to take, I saw a photograph of him doing a signing, and there happened to be a piece of paper there on the desk that had his email address written on it, which was just a fluke. And you know what? I told you guys I'm gonna send an email to this and see what happens. And sure enough, he responded. It's a short interview because we had to do it right at closing, because I spoke to him Friday night and in person, spoke to the man and apologized for being nervous and forewarned him that I was going to be nervous. Super nice guy, super gracious. If anybody's ever had a problem with him, I can't imagine why, because I really can't imagine why. But anyways, I said, are you still up for it tomorrow? Yep, we'll do it. And I said, okay. I said, you got a lunch break, or how do you want to handle this? And he just got quiet for a minute, and he says, no. He says, you bring all your stuff right here. And we're at his signing table. And I told you guys, it's like, oh Lord, I don't have, how in the world am I ever going to interview this man in the middle of a JoeCon? It's just
thousands of people.
Yeah, and it was just like, Lord, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. It's kind of, Lord, I don't have any idea how in the world I'm going to do this. And then I spoke to two more of our interviewees, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And they flat out told me that one of them said, I don't care what you have to do or where you have to go. If that man agreed to do an interview with you, you do whatever he says and you go wherever he tells you to go, because he is notoriously bad at staying in touch and he doesn't like to do this stuff. So guess what? We pulled it off. We got Larry Hama, and as you can see, I am in fact his new bestie. Which, in the words of Han Solo, delusions of grandeur, right? So you want to pull that up, Shane?
Sure thing.
And, in light of Father's Day, the father of G.I. Joe, Larry Hama. There it goes. Hey guys, look who I got. And I will be perfectly honest with you. This man has, well, to be honest with you, your stories and your comics specifically have meant a great deal to me over the years since 1982. So I never get nervous, and I am actually nervous. So just bear with me.
Okay.
Mr. Larry Hama, I have to tell you, we got two schools in the G.I. Joe world. There's the cartoon guys, and there's the comic book guys.
So there's some overlap.
There is. I was always a comic guy.
Okay.
And still am. I enjoyed the cartoon, but I was a little older. So I think that may have been the big difference. Did you ever, when you started this in 82, did you ever see it turning into this?
No. We never even thought it would go to a second year.
Isn't that amazing?
Because, at that time in the early 80s, toy books didn't last more than a year.
Right.
And they paid the lowest rates.
Yep.
So the, A-list people, even B-list people didn't want to work on them.
Right.
Well, why should they? They could.
Sure. No, I get that. Yeah. I mean, from a career standpoint, I can see that. But I have to tell you, you've had the longest career of anybody on one book and one set of characters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have to tell you, I'm actually floored that you in your mind have been able to continue one long storyline for this entire time, right through issue 300 last year. That's absolutely amazing to me, for characters that you developed since day one. That's mind-boggling to me, because I started rereading books recently, and it's just like, I didn't remember that, or I did remember that, and it's just, I don't know how that man has done that all these years to remember all that stuff. So congratulations on that. That's amazing to me. That's a different level of, different caliber of talent as far as I'm concerned, to be able to do that. What, on a personal, what do you collect? We're in the middle of all of these people collecting stuff. Do you collect anything? What's your hobby? You have one?
I collect guitars.
Do you really? Electric, acoustic?
Both.
Do you really? You play well, or?
I'm a mediocre player, but I played in rock and roll bands for
Nice.
a time. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. I did not know that.
I had an old cartoonist rock and roll band.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We played all the major venues in New York. We played
That's good.
CBGB's. We
Wow.
played Irving Plaza. We played Danceteria. We played the Bitter End. All the.
So you're just an artistic person. You just have that mindset, whether it be pencils or apparently musical instruments. Wow. I did not know that about you, sir. I really didn't. That's actually kind of fascinating.
And I've been in Screen Actors Guild since 1976.
Yeah, I knew that much about you. I knew you had done an episode of MASH, 2 episodes of MASH.
I did MASH. I've been on Another World, the soap opera.
Oh, yeah.
Better than I deserve every day. How about you?
Saturday Night Live.
What did you do on Saturday Night Live? Just
I was in the Apocalypse Now skit with Martin Sheen.
That's funny.
Naked with a loincloth. And painted white from head to foot.
That's funny. That's funny. So you had the acting bug, but it just kind of took a back seat in your life, I take it?
Well,
Good.
There's no way to make a living.
Yeah, there is that, right? Yeah, there's that. I had a friend that was a wannabe actor.
Yeah.
If you
I just wanted to see how his day was. How was your day?
In the middle of
It's okay. It's okay. No, it's all good. He's an important man. It's all good. I don't. No one will take offense.
Okay.
Really. I mean, we appreciate this greatly. Did you read comics as a kid?
Oh yeah,
Did you? What was your favorite characters?
Uncle Scrooge.
Really?
Yeah, I was a big Karl Barks fan as a kid, and I read Little Lulu by Morris.
Oh yeah.
And the Disney comics
Sure.
and the Dell Warner Brothers comics.
I remember the Dell comics as a kid.
Bugs
Yeah.
Bunny. And,
Yep. Yep.
And Porky Pig.
The
And
classics,
that
right?
stuff, yeah.
Yep.
And then there was the Disney comics. You know, as a little kid.
Sure.
Yeah. As I got older, I started reading the earliest Marvels I read were the mystery books.
Yep.
Because I loved the Steve.
All right, guys, we've got 5 minutes. Please, your final choices.
Okay,
Leaders,
last
if you can
call.
help by moving
Sure.
our wonderful customers. By the way, I will confirm to you that yes, you should buy that if you're thinking about it.
I'll ask you one more question
Go ahead,
because
buy
I know
that
it's
toy,
getting
buy
late.
that
We tried to do
comic,
this all day,
buy
guys.
that artwork. You know you want it, and you will regret it if you don't.
Okay.
If you could do a crossover between G.I. Joe and any other character, team, whatever, who would you do that with?
Gee, that's a tough one. Well, it's rough because there's so many characters.
Yeah, big time.
I would not relish having to add more characters.
Yeah, more stuff to trip over, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard enough keeping track of 120 characters.
Yeah. I think that's a fair answer. I think if you'd have said something easy like X-Men or something, then it wouldn't have been as believable.
Well, no, but I've written the X.
Yes, I knew you did. Yep. You're an editor on. Were you sometime on one of the X books?
No, not on.
No.
I was the editor of the Conan books.
That's what it was. Yes. Yep. Very good. I just want to, you know what? I'll end it because I know we got people back in line and stuff, and you're a busy man. But I read an article recently with you that you talked about the blacklisting at one point in time in your life and how isolating that was. And I just, you know what, sir, look around here. You really built this world, and you were never really alone. Your work is always and always will be appreciated by a huge number of us. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you. I really am. But I want you to know that.
You know, the thing is, it's not. You know, people say, "Oh, he was blacklisted at Marvel and DC," but no, it was individual.
Yes.
You know, it was, and the people that did that are gone. You know, and they're not coming back.
Yeah, I hear
I mean,
that.
they messed up royally.
Yeah.
And you know, it was all just vindictiveness. You know?
Yep, that I believe.
You know, one guy, he offered me a book. He called me and he was excited. He was.
All right, Joefest attendees, it is now 5 o'clock. The convention is over for the day.
He thought
You need to
he was
make
doing
your
me
way
a big
to the
favor.
exit.
Yeah, right.
By offering me this
Thank
book.
you guys for coming. Please do consider it and head to the exit.
I told him I really think this book in the series, which was about women, should be written by a woman.
Well, that makes pretty good sense to me. Yeah.
You know? And he was so PO'd that I turned him down. That
That's foolish.
I couldn't get work from that company for like years.
That's terrible.
You know, another guy at the other company, he had me do a layouts for a fumetti, a photo novella. They wanted to do a story about the main character in photographic form.
Oh, cool. Yep.
Photo footage.
Yep.
Because you know the main character was in Hawk, and they couldn't do a movie. Right? I'm giving too much away.
Yeah, well, it's
But,
okay.
yeah, but so this guy had his girlfriend who had never written anything before write this 100-page script, and I was supposed to lay it out. And I read this thing, and I called him, and I said, "Listen, I've written screenplays, and I've actually directed photo novels
Sure.
from Eddie's for Crazy, and on every page there's a different scene in a different location." And I said, "Well, that's very easy to do in a drawn comic
Yeah,
book.
exactly.
But when you're shooting a movie, and this is what this was like,
Right.
You're shooting a movie only with stills. Each of those scenes is a setup. I said, "Do you know what a setup is?" And he cut me off and he said, "Look, you're just a hired gun. I know what I'm doing."
Okay, there you go.
So I said, "Look, So I bit the bullet and I laid out this whole thing, and they went and shot it. Went almost $500,000 over budget. And then, because they had to hire photographers
Yeah.
and actors and
Yeah.
makeup people and
I can
lighting
imagine,
people
right.
and then transportation people
Everywhere.
and rent spaces.
Mhm.
And he gets it all in the can and he hands it to the online department to have them put them online. And they sat on it in fear for 2 days.
Oh man!
Before they told him that there wasn't enough bandwidth in the universe to put this much data up on.
Wow!
And the next
When
day,
you're on your way out, please be sure to thank all of the volunteers for all of their help today.
That wasn't nice, was it?
So the
Maggots is a reference to Sergeant Slaughter. If you guys give me those looks.
The next morning, he fired the entire division.
Oh, right. So don't tell me what I don't want to hear, right?
And then I was blacklisted.
Oh, that's good.
No editor there would return my calls for years.
That's sad.
But
That's
when these
too bad.
people, these people were so not good at what they were doing, that eventually they cut their own throats.
Yeah, right.
And I'm still around.
You are still around, sir, and it's appreciated. It really is greatly appreciated. I appreciate your time. I know it's been a long day. We had technical stuff, and this is the quickest we could do it. And you've been busy almost all day, and we're not going to get in the way of you making a living. So,
Okay.
I appreciate this so very much. This means a lot to all of us. And
Hey, come on in.
Yeah, right. Come on in. Come on, Emmett. This is the boy that you signed the comic for earlier.
Okay, hey. Say hi. Hi, Mom.
There you go. Okay, now
All
we
right.
stop taking pictures. I'm going to shut this off, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So there you go, guys.
Okay.
D-Man, Larry Hama.
Mr. Hama?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic time. I got to speak to him multiple times over the weekend, and there was a group of people there at the end. You could probably tell the way I kept looking, because there was a group of people there watching us and listening. And I swear, the more people that were there, the more into it he got, and the more fun he was actually having, because it's like he said at one point in time, thank you for that. It's hard not to get a little emotional for me, because I mean, that gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, that was a once in a lifetime for me. And I will forever and always chalk that off as a huge blessing. This here is a joke. I don't need anybody to remind me of Mr. Hama's political outlook, some of his personal beliefs. You want the honest truth? I don't care. not in this context. I don't care. He's a fantastic guy.
Very
He's,
much so.
you know what, you can say, anybody can say whatever they want. He built this world, and he paid a price for it. You know, his involvement in GI Joe cost him professionally for a very long time. Small-minded people, arrogant people, and believe it or not, political people.
Mm-hmm.
There were people that blacklisted him for what they perceived were his politics, because GI Joe was seen by some as a conservative book. And the truth is if you go back and read it, it's not a conservative book. Larry Hama is what you would call a classic liberal. He's not these new progressives. He's a classic liberal, and it shows. But you know what? I don't care. He's for those of us I know, John read comics when he was a kid. Shane read the comics. I know Rick had comics here and there as a kid. Look, that man made a major impact on so many of us. I really don't know if he has an appreciation for just how much of an impact he had on so many lives by creating all of these characters over the years. So I hope you enjoyed that. Nervous really doesn't actually cut it. It really doesn't. I was flat out fearful, to be perfectly honest with you, because I told my wife before I even went over there, I said, I don't even know how I'm going to do this. She just, you'll be all right. I said, okay, but I'm not convinced of it. So, but we got through. So I hope that was a good thing for you guys.
Absolutely. Well,
I remember as a kid, you know, you'd go and buy the GI Joe at the store. Well, you wouldn't open it till you got home because you didn't want to lose the parts and all.
Right.
But on your way home, you're going to flip that thing over and read that file card. And,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody hollers, the comic book's canon, or no, the cartoon, and you got people on it. To me, that file card's canon, what it says, because that come first. The toy come first. The file card, he sat down and wrote out each character, come up with a name, a code name for them, and all this, so he could put them in the comics. I mean, he done this for the comics.
Yep.
But it all started out with him doing that. I mean, if he hadn't have done that, if it went to somebody else, it would have probably just been Bazooka Expert and
right.
Foot Soldier. They probably wouldn't have had code names. They probably, you know, it wouldn't be G.I. Joe. It wouldn't be what we know as G.I. Joe.
Yep.
And that's what made it so special, because I mean you had name and it was easier to remember their names by their code names. I mean, code names were a lot easier to remember. Barbecue or Airtight, Bazooka, you know, just I don't know, just you know, that's just that was G.I. Joe.
It's amazing stuff. It's absolutely amazing stuff. Was he piloted to a certain extent by Hasbro? Yes. Do we need to rehash all of that in a limited amount of time with this man? No. Was there 101 questions I could have asked him? Yes. Had the announcement been made that issue 301 is coming out in November at the time that this was recorded? No. And I had already been told by others, don't even talk about it. Don't even ask. That's no guarantee I would have even remembered to ask, because I'm telling you, I was a bit of a wreck. But I tried to have fun with man. And I'm in hopes that will translate into getting to talk to him again in the future.
Yeah.
I
think we all had a really good connection with him.
Yes, we
did.
did.
And talked to him for what little bit of time we had with him.
Yep.
You know, I didn't want to take a lot of his time, but when after he signed my 00 Snake Eyes classified, you know, I was just going to get up and walk away, and he's like, "No, man, come on, let's get some pictures."
Yep.
And I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool, man." You know, and he, you know, like everybody else, I had my views of him from hearing things and whatnot. Yep. Meeting the man personally changed everything I ever think about the man.
Yeah, exactly.
Great man, great person.
Yep.
You know, what happened to him was wrong. And should have never happened, because he was just being honest. And all three of us is probably going to be the honest person you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you how we feel, and that's just it.
Yep.
And that's how he was. He was honest with the guy, and the guy didn't like it, so he cried.
Yeah, that's right.
So Sometimes the truth's hard to hear, right?
And it's he and I, we spoke a little bit longer off camera because I'll tell you there was some things that happened after we shut the laptop off, which were actually pretty funny. But there was, look, you know how this goes, guys. There's certain things that are said in these circumstances that just can't go on film.
Right.
Right? They just can't. There's not going to be a record of them. Is that stuff that I'll actually cherish to have a deep conversation about certain things with this man? Oh yeah. I honestly, I don't know as I would want him on film.
Yeah.
Because we had a chance to talk about some stuff and we had a little fun. I'll tell you, in that interview, I pointed to the guy just kind of randomly and said, "Hey, nice shirt." There was a guy standing there in front that had basically this shirt on, or one of them, anyways. Chaplain's Assistance, Motor Pool, and it says "Fixing the Fight for Freedom Wherever There's Trouble." This guy made these shirts, right? So if you're a comics fan, you know what that's about, right? It's the pit was underground underneath the motor pool at the Chaplain's Assistant School on Long Island at Fort Wadsworth. So this was an inside joke, right? So afterwards, after we shut it off, he was still standing there, and Mr. Hama looked over and said, and he was looking at it, and he goes, "That really is a nice shirt." The guy whips off his backpack, right? And he's like, "Do you want one?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I'd take one." And then he looks at me and he says, "Do you want one?" And I said, "Yes, I would definitely take one." So he starts digging through. Right? And he says, "What size?" And I tell him what size. And he throws me my size. And he says to Mr. Hammer, "What size are you?" And Larry says, "Well, I'm a large." And the guy goes, "I can't believe I don't have any large in my bag. The only large I have on is this one." And I said, "Take your shirt off, man. It's Larry freaking Hama." Everybody starts laughing. I'm sure Mr. Hama was kind of like, "No, just leave your shirt on." It's all right. But the guy that designed this and stuff, he gave us permission to make these. So, that's a cool thing. I think we're going to have some more of these made because this is actually very clever.
It is very,
if you were a comics guy, you knew exactly what it was right off the bat, but bit of an inside joke, but so
I don't know if I might have shared this with you guys before. I don't know, but since we was talking about Larry Hama and back at it was right before COVID at Toylanta, 2019. He was doing sketches for like, I think it was $20 a sketch.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he had a whole list of people, and he sketched Steeler for me.
Oh, awesome!
If you can see that, and it's got the Larry Hama 19 for 2019 there.
Nice.
And if you look up in the corner, it was number 27 on the list. He had, like I said, a long list, and he was sitting there just drawing people. You just go up and write down what character you wanted, and when you got to yours next in line, and then he'd lay them out there on the table. You come back and pick them up and pay him for them. But I wished I could have got one of the Baroness too. I wished I just had, because I think you could get like multiple characters on there. It was like $20 a character or something. I wish I just had him do one of each of them. I mean, both of them on the same picture or something. But I thought it was cool. He's got him in the Mobat, so you can see the hatch open and the gun and
yeah, fantastic stuff. Yeah, that's awesome.
But that's something I always cherish there. From that experience, that was cool.
And another thing that about him that was just really awesome for me was the fact that he was signed 2 free autographs if you got it personalized with your name on it.
Right.
And then after that, $20 a pop. But 2 free autographs from Mr. Hama?
Big time.
I mean, with your name saying, "Hey Shane," or "Hey Dave," or "Hey John," that's to me, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And he would autograph it on anything you had.
Oh yeah. He wasn't. Yeah, it was. He had a ton of stuff there. He had stuff right there that he could sign for you. You didn't even have to bring stuff, with you, and he wasn't charging you extra for that stuff. So guys, it was a fantastic opportunity. I was absolutely floored to be able to do it for you. I hope everybody enjoys it. Was it a perfect interview? No, but I'm not Mike Wallace, and it wasn't 60 Minutes. Right? We're not looking to make news. This is not that kind of internet thing.
I thought it
Not
was
doing the
fantastic.
gotcha crap, not looking to make news, not going to be clickbait. I just wanted to have a talk with the guy, and that's what we got to do. So, with that said, I see that Joefest is going to put tickets on sale for next year, starting Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it looks very much so like it will be in Augusta, Georgia again. So, here's hoping that he'll be there again next year. And you know what? If not sooner, maybe we can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And
So they, because I didn't hear anybody at Joe Fest mention anything about Atlanta. I know at Toy Atlanta they were saying that Joe Fest was going to be moved to Atlanta next year, but I didn't hear anybody say anything about it at Joe Fest. And
No.
so, because it don't make sense. It's so successful. Why move it? Why
Nope. I heard there were two guys talking about it when I was in their immediate vicinity because they were talking about next year, and we were talking about other stuff, and that actually came up. And one of the guys said that whoever the promoter is lives in Augusta, Georgia, and he's made some kind of smoking deal with that hotel that they're just flat out not going to get anyplace else.
Yeah.
So it's just not. He said it's not ever going to go anyplace else. Which you know what? It was the nicest hotel my wife and I have been in a very long time. We didn't spend all that much money to put up. Geez, we had a two-bed suite room plus a fold-out couch with a separate sitting room. So the boys, they had their own space, and we paid for a regular room. This was not expensive for 2 nights. So yeah, we're doing it again, without a doubt. So.
And Nancy was correct there. He didn't even charge for a selfie where everyone else was.
No. Oh no.
Yeah.
The little blonde-headed kid that's peeking around the camera and everything else. He had that's mine. That's my littlest, and he'd been having fun with those boys off and on all day. So at the end of the day, he was finally like, "Oh, come on!" And my wife was taking pictures off screen because
Right.
that's what she does. But now, look, if you've got criticisms of the man, okay, good for you. I personally don't. You know what? If you pick up a copy of G.I. Joe and you're expecting Dark Knight Returns, you picked up the wrong book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? I mean, seriously, you picked up the wrong book. But has it been entertaining? Yes. Has it actually changed lives? Yes. So there aren't many writers that can say that. And keep this in mind, gentlemen. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records for being on one series the longest. He's written that book since day one. And there was a hiatus where somebody else wrote, but we'll talk about that next week. But that's that. That's that. So you know what, guys? Thank you for being the motivation for me to get that once in a lifetime, because if it weren't for this group and this webcast, I would have just gotten signatures and gone about my happy business. I never would have had a chance to talk to the man multiple times over 2 days.
We discussed before we went in to this whole thing, all we can say is no. Let's talk to these people. They're human beings. They're not going to bite your arm off. So let's just talk to them and see where they go.
Yep, that's right.
As I remember, we didn't have a single no.
No, we did not get a single no anywhere.
I mean, to me, that says a lot about these people and how they care about the fan base and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, we got a few laters, which makes perfect sense, but we didn't get any no's. Matter of fact, we've got one guest that we'll be working on in the future that actually made a request of us.
Yeah.
Are we a big, huge, important group? This is not Viper Island. We're not Artist Shark. We're not any of those things.
No, not at all.
But hey, we're having fun. At this point in time, we're giving you stuff nobody else is giving you.
We're just a couple local boys doing what we want to do and love doing it.
Yep, that's right. Yep, that's it. So before we talk, I'll talk about next week at the end. Does that make sense to you guys?
Perfect.
Let's do It feels like we should have some kind of video graphic here, like ominous, disastrous, thunder and lightning music, right? Let's talk about Glenda. Was I?
It killed the line. The line's dead. Everybody's
The line is dead. We will never see.
I thought you said this was Viper Island. Excuse me. I'm on the wrong show.
The line is dead.
Y'all gonna call me have to fight somebody?
It is just dead. That's it. Look, we had some good discussions amongst ourselves this past week. Am I happy about Glenda? No. Do I think it was a marketing mistake? Yes. Am I still absolutely thrilled that we're getting a Dragonfly with Wild Bill and Ripcord? Absolutely. So, if I don't like Glenda can live in the closet in the dark, right? It really doesn't make a bit of difference to me at this point in time, other than that third tier. Do you see what? That's the only impact it has on me. It may very well pooch that third tier.
I don't think it will. I think at the end it's going to jump up there.
I hope not.
It wouldn't be the first time.
No.
I was really shocked the Skystriker didn't hit the last tier on it. But because
weird.
if you watch a lot of the other ones, because I watched. This is the fourth one I've been a part of, and I've watched 5. I watched the Sentinel. I didn't buy a Sentinel, but I watched it, and the trend's pretty much the same. You got all these people that just can't wait to fund it, so it jumps up, in the first few days. Then it hits a lull until it gets toward the end, and then you get like Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store puts their orders in, and then the people that's waiting last minute to see if they're gonna have the money or trying to save the money up, they jump in, and then it'll shoot up there. I predict that if it don't hit Unlock Glenda by a week before it's over, I predict they'll go ahead and show us what the fourth one is to try to boost it right at the end. That's I was excited about Glenda because I want all the characters. I could care less about repaints. I want new characters. I want all the characters, and I know a lot of people don't know who Glenda is. I know. Because I'm vintage Joes is kind of my thing, and I love vintage Joes, and so I was aware, and it wasn't until probably the early '90s till I was aware of the Argentina Joes, but there were some pretty cool figures and some characters, and those things are big money. I mean, if you get a hold of a vintage Glenda, where the back metal torso is in nice shape, you're talking over $1,000,
Right.
And what people don't, and we kind of talked about this last night, Dave. The fact of the matter is, everybody says, "Oh, I want Doc, I want Airborne," but they've already said with other campaigns, if the tiers aren't locked, those figures will never be made. Right. So, do you really want Doc and Airborne? If they don't hit the tiers, that means you'll never get a Doc and Airborne.
Right. What John is talking about apparently came up in an interview or a podcast that both he and Emily did with Adventures in Toy Collecting. They laid it out pretty simple that here is the deal. You are not ever going to get a mainline figure in a HasLab other than the pilot, because we got the Hiss Driver and now we have Wild Bill, and both of those would be considered mainline figures, but they're vehicle specific at the same time. Right. But as far as tiers go, what we are never going to get is, we weren't ever going to get, this is a good example, we weren't ever going to get regular Ripcord. We were going to get Night Force Ripcord, but you were never going to get a mainline figure in a tier. Why? Because Hasbro has decided that if it is not unlocked as a tier, it will never be available anywhere else. It will not be made in a box. It will not be made in a card. It will not be made in a future set. It will not be made.
Yep.
So they've been actually careful about who they put in for tiers, because they're just, if the goal is reached, we get them. If it's not, that is it. You are never going to see that character, period. Now, in light of that, my opinion of the choice of Glenda somewhat changes because I personally can live without that figure. I could not live without a Doc or an Airborne or a Lifeline. You know what I'm saying? Those mainline figures that I was saying I'd like to see, I would not trade those for Glenda. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my attitude has changed quite a bit over the last few days since that announcement. I will tell you this, guys. I said it last night. I'll say it again. If they had gone the route of Shane shared the card back from 25th anniversary, John.
Yes.
Yeah, 25th anniversary.
Where that Glenda was a alias, right? It was actually Scarlet.
Yeah.
If one of those sets of hair had been red for that head, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Not at all.
That would have been Scarlet. They still could have used the Glenda name, but it was if they had just stuck with that card from the 25th anniversary, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Yep.
I think everybody would have been happy, but I still hold the opinion that there was some politics at play with the choice of this, and they were headed. Don't run away with it. We all get it, right? It's just my opinion is they were going down the international route. And that's one of the reasons that they chose to stick strictly with Glenda and not Scarlet alias Glenda, if that makes any sense. And
if you look at all the HasLabs, at least the Marvel and the G.I. Joe, there's at least one female figure in every HasLab.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had Nova with Galactus. You had the female Sentinel from the Sentinel Wave. I forget what the character was called. You had, of course, the pilot Scarlet with a Sky Striker. You had the female Hiss technician with a Hiss. And I don't nothing wrong with that. That's fine.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Different characters and all that. But you can pretty much expect there'll be a female figure in there in all the future ones. And you see what they were talking about. I mean, it's been almost 2 years now, and there's not been a Rancor monster released.
No,
for the Black Series, because they said either it gets funded and gets made, or you'll never see it. And
that's their story, and they're sticking to it. And
the Hell Charger, unfortunately, a lot of people wanted Mephisto, and a lot of people wanted the Goblin Queen, and now they'll never get them. Not in the Marvel Legends,
right?
And those two figures, I think we talked about this some of the day. Those two figures you're not going to see in Walmart, because they're not going to have Mephisto out there for kids, and they're not going to have the Goblin Queen, and that's sort of like the Hellfire Club. That's why they were exclusive, because they're not going to put those kind of figures out on the aisles at Walmart. You're not going to see them.
They did it back in the 90s with the Todd McFarlane stuff.
They did.
Malabolgia. They took some heat for that. They're not doing it again.
No.
Because let's face it, 15-inch action figures of Satan are not particularly popular with parents. Can't imagine it, but so, and let's face it, Spawn's a different. I mean, Spawn is it's Hellspawn. The whole concept is completely different. So you can get it. I get it, but
I think the reason they didn't take heat over the Wetworks Mother One figure is because her skin was gold, so you couldn't really. But I mean, she was actually wearing a little skimpy, Vampirilla type outfit,
right.
But nobody said anything because her skin was gold, so nobody. I guess parents thought it was just
right. That's true.
They didn't pick up on it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, here's my take on the Glenda situation. Is it a figure we wanted? Not at all. Never in 100 years would anybody have thought Glenda. Is it a beautiful sculpted figure?
Yeah.
100% it is.
Yep.
I've already hearing people talk about taking a head swap, putting her on CoverGirl, putting
Yeah.
Scarlet head on her, and having Scarlet.
Yep.
To me, should have been a different figure, but that's just me. But like John said, Glenda is a great looking figure. I mean, she's beautiful.
Yep.
And with the accessories that's coming with her, we can definitely look and see in the future we're getting a Flash because of the backpack and the gun she has. It's
Yep.
just like Flash's guns
Yep.
and backpack. So I mean, that's a positive in my opinion.
Yep.
And just the look of the figure is amazing.
She's awesome.
Yeah, and you get two heads, one with the helmet on, right?
I think
the
you
helmet-
just take her hair off and put the helmet on.
Right.
With the helmet on. Okay, that's what it is.
Of course, that was digital render, and
Yeah.
the figure
Yeah,
may not
that's
look
true.
anything like that when we
Right.
actually get it. But
Yeah, that's true.
Right, but it is the render is fantastic.
Yep.
So I mean, and possibility we're getting a vintage Scarlet
It looks it, doesn't it?
because I mean the gauntlets on her arm
Yep. The boot
has the
pouches.
throwing stars on them.
Yep.
Like Scarlet's one did. So I mean,
and that's basically what Linda was a repaint of Scarlet.
right.
Exactly. Right.
And in Europe, you had Action Force, you had Quarrel, and she come with a Ram motorcycle, so they could even do a Quarrel with a Ram because they've got the Ram, and then they'll have the mold for her. And I look for that maybe to be a Pulse exclusive or maybe a Target exclusive or something. But that would be a cool figure to get too.
Yeah. I do feel like it has hit a brick wall because since the announcement, it's only gained 612 backers. So I do feel like it's hit a brick wall. But like John said, a lot of people are going to wait. And a lot of people are probably thinking, well, I'm going to wait a couple of weeks, get my practices in order, see where I'm at.
They're working their second jobs, third jobs.
Yeah.
Doing side jobs, mowing some grass,
Right.
breaking some leaves, whatever. But I mean, I do think we will, at close to the end, like John says, if it's not funded, they will have to announce the next tier to try to get us to that tier.
So I think there'll be something if it's actually lagging as bad as it looks. Because let's face it, their analytics are telling them something completely different than what we're actually seeing as a public. If it's really genuinely lagging all that bad, they'll do something to jumpstart it.
They'll have to.
We've still got 2 more pre-order days this month.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck is coming up in those pre-orders? I've got a list here of things that might be, but I know we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. But there's been a couple of announcements that were right out of left field that weren't on any list as far as pipeline figures. So I mean, that Arctic Bat is one of them. That was not on a pipeline anywhere. So, and of course, what was the second one? There's another one that wasn't in the pipeline, was not announced.
The Crimson Viper.
Oh, the Snake Eyes, Desert Camo Snake Eyes.
Yeah, there's 2 more. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who did we just pre-order?
And who was the other? I've been so stuck on Glenda, I don't remember.
The Televiper and Trouble Bubble was. I pre-ordered a couple of those.
Yeah, what did we just pre-order this past week? What the heck did we just pre-order?
What?
That's ridiculous, isn't it? What did we just pre-order? There was Desert Snake Eyes.
Desert Snake Eyes and Tunnel Rat.
But what was the third one?
It was already back.
Eels.
The eels.
Yeah, that makes sense because that's a disaster right there.
I was surprised that was an Amazon exclusive.
Well, it's sold out in minutes. Hasbro Pulse, you could buy one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? An hour later, Amazon sold out of them in minutes. So,
but best I could tell, they didn't put a limit on Amazon.
No,
I don't think they did.
You could order 20 if you wanted to. And
I think that happened because they're gone.
Which that tells me
doesn't even exist anymore.
There'll be a second run of them.
They'll have to
later.
Yeah, but that
like
page doesn't even list. No link to that page even exists anymore. They pulled it.
Yeah.
So they're scrambling to figure out something there because holy cow.
You remember the vintage style roadblock, the OG roadblock?
Yes.
Heavy artillery roadblock. It come back up on Amazon site a couple of different times after it's sold out.
Yeah. It's still on there now.
Yeah. So they'll get more.
Every figure has done that except for the San Diego Zartan and the 00 Snake Eyes. Those are the only two that haven't been re-offered a few times.
And the Supreme Cobra Commander, I don't think he was ever offered. Was he?
Once maybe? Was he offered one more time?
And the Regal, I don't think the Regal Cobra Commander was ever offered but one time.
No, it was one time only.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you
I
go.
think they learned their lesson off of those. I think that's why they started
Yeah.
The Pentor, I think it was at least 3 different times they put him
at least, yeah.
and Dr. Mindbender a couple of times.
Yes.
So hopefully they realized, hey, we need to give, I mean, I don't understand the more you make, the more you're going to sell. So why not? If they went back and done another run of the Regal Cobra Commander, they would sell out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, Rick,
Rick.
Let's I don't want to beat that horse anymore. I mean,
let's
the
talk
Glendale
about
horse
this
is,
eel, though.
what's that?
Have you noticed the eel is nothing more than a repaint of Torpedo?
Yeah, that's okay. It's awesome.
That's what I'm going with. It's an awesome look. Well,
Yeah.
we got people complaining about repaints, but it's nothing more than a Torpedo repaint with a different helmet.
Yeah, but you know what? There's some repaints that are excellent.
Yeah.
There's some repaints that are better than the original. So
You can count on them doing a wetsuit probably next year with that same mold. Because they did that with the 25th style. The 25th anniversary wetsuit that come in I think he come in the Cobra Island 7-pack.
he did, yeah.
And he was basically a repaint of Torpedo.
Yeah.
But painted up in the OG colors of wetsuit. And it looked great. It looked like the character, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll make it to next year before he's made.
And they may turn around next week and say, wetsuit's up for pre-order.
Yeah, well, right.
Both of them
more days.
sold is amazing. They sold so quickly. Once again, these are all pre-orders.
Right.
How can you have a limit on pre-orders? To me, it seems like the more you can pre-order, the more you can make, and the more you can sell.
I think they put in an order for so many units, and then once those units are ready to hit the ocean heading this way, they probably put them up for pre-order, and then they'll put in the next batch, and then when the next batch comes out, that's when they offer it a second time.
Okay,
I
but
think that's how it
my
works,
thing is if you order 1,000 and you get 5,000 pre-orders, you can get those 1,000 on its way, and then go ahead and order.
Make more. Yeah.
I mean, to me, I don't. It's kind of like when we were doing the shirt orders.
Well,
if we didn't put a limit of 10, we would have sold just 10. I
think there's a lot of it I don't understand. I think it's probably more complicated than we know. I just don't know.
Because what you're talking about, Shane's basically the HasLab. They get all the orders, and then that's how many they produce. That's why it takes a year to get it.
Right.
Exactly.
But I think so it don't take so long to get the figures after they put them up for pre-order. I say that because you still got some that took almost a year to get even after we pre-ordered them. But I think it's got something to do with like this. So they probably order so many units and see how fast those pre-orders sell out, and then they say, well, we'll go ahead and get another batch in the process, and then we'll wait a couple of months and then put them up for pre-order again. And I don't know. There's got to be some technical stuff to it. The reason why they don't just make it unlimited, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. So
I'll take a statement out of Rick, our good buddy Rick's quotations. They're leaving money on the table, in my opinion.
Oh, bad. Yeah, I agree.
Because they could be getting this money now, instead of waiting. And it just doesn't make sense to me why a pre-order. Pre-order should be everything you can sell. That's just, and you can already have them in production, have them getting made. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't understand.
I've never ordered anything else pre-order like that you couldn't order as many as you wanted, or get as many of the items, or have more items. It's just.
My thing about pre-orders, pre-orders. I always understood pre-orders meant you ordered it. It didn't necessarily mean you got it first, but it meant you was guaranteed to get it.
Exactly.
But now a pre-order don't even mean that, because Target, Walmart, they've canceled pre-orders.
Yeah.
Before. I'm like, so why bother pre-ordering if you're not guaranteeing that we're going to get it? You turn around and cancel it. to me, that defeats the whole. That's the whole point of a pre-order, because you guarantee you're getting one. And if they turn around and cancel, well, why even bother doing pre-order? I would rather. I wish they would just not even say a word, and just wait and put the figures up for sale and say, "Oh, here they are. They're up for sale. We have them in stock. Go ahead and order them, and you get them next week." I'd rather just do that instead of them telling us, "Oh, we're putting up for pre-order," and then like the figures last year that we ordered in January and waited. It was October, November before we finally got them, and then they all come at once.
Right.
Yeah,
I'd rather just surprise me and put them up for order and say, "Here they are. They're in stock. Order them now." Be done with it.
Right.
But
yeah, but this is what I've said, and I don't think Hasbro has faith in this line. I get it. It's 3 years old. The HasLabs have been exceptional. And I'm talking about classified. I'm not talking about the O-ring stuff. I'm not talking about any other things that are questionable. I'm talking about classified. It just doesn't strike me that I don't Emily is in charge of marketing. We like to pile everything on Emily. It's just not. She's in charge of marketing, right? That's a pretty limited scope. Lenny is a designer. He's not making these decisions. There is somebody at Hasbro that just doesn't seem to have faith in this line to jump in. They're playing games. Everything has to be pre-ordered and everything has to be a HasLab. It's just like, would you just give us G.I. Joe toys and shut up with all this nonsense? We've talked about it before. We remember what the shelves looked like when we were kids. They jumped in. They owned the property and they jumped in. Now they still want to hold hands with Disney. And I'm sorry, guys, I don't collect it, so I guess it's easy for me to say, but Hasbro Legends, Marvel Legends, and the Star Wars stuff, I don't know why they keep holding hands with these properties that they put out more than they're ever going to make. Why are they doing that? I don't understand. Like Rick says, it's just money on the table, but they just don't seem to have any faith in this line. And I don't understand why.
I'm gonna tell you too. You hear a lot of people complain about the repaints, the Tiger Force, the Python Patrol, and I'm speaking because I'm a bit of a completionist. If I get one, I got to get them all. To me, I would rather buy Bazooka and then get Tiger Force Bazooka.
Right.
At least they're two different. I mean, they're the same character, but at least it's two different. They don't look the same. The Black Series, I would go crazy on that because they'll put out Obi-Wan Kenobi. The first one had the yellow, the orange stripe on the box. When the Black Series first started. Then the very next year they put out him and Anakin with a blue stripe, and then they turn around years later they put him out on the card. It's the same figure.
It's the exact same figure. Yep.
They're just different packaging every time. And so you're buying the same figure every time. If you're a completionist, they're making you buy the same figure, just a different package.
Yep. Yeah.
At least with the sub teams, you're getting something different. It's not the exact same thing.
I was always an opener. I had that huge Star Wars collection, but I opened everything. And I have to tell you, back in the 90s especially, most of those guys were cardboard collectors. Because they were collecting variants of the packaging. They weren't collecting different figures. Right. It was the exact same figure, exact same vehicle, exact same playset in a different box. It's just like, bud, it would be cheaper to collect the boxes.
Yeah.
Stand outside when you see the little kid come out, offer him $5 for the box because it's just going to get thrown in the trash.
Right.
It's just struck me as so ridiculous, and I just don't get it. There's an awful lot of this racket I really don't understand.
Yeah. I know when Star Wars, when they first re-released, when they launched in '95, the Power of the Force 2.
Yeah.
With the lightsaber card back, Darth Vader's helmet, lightsaber. I thought the cards looked really cool. And I thought, man, them look good hanging on the wall in my bedroom.
Right.
So I said, well, I'll do that. And then of course, what they do? You had Luke Skywalker with the orange lightsaber.
Yep.
Then you had Luke Skywalker with the green lightsaber.
Right.
Then they had Luke Skywalker I remember R5D4 and the Jawas. Those were two right in transition.
Yep.
They had them on the orange card. Then they had them on the green card. Then they had them on the orange card with a hologram. Then they had them on the green card with a hologram. Right. That's the same figure you bought four times for the. And I said, I'm done.
The shadows of the Empire sticker.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
so that's when I started opening them. I said, "Heck with it."
the new Joe comic coming out, we counted what 6 different covers for it,
Oh,
Something
comic
like
books
that.
are crazy with
and
covers.
that's to
Oh,
me
yeah.
that's just crazy. So many covers, and
Most of them are incentive covers. If the retailer buys X number,
yeah,
they get the incentive covers.
it's just
I mean, in a way, it's good because if it's a certain artist you like, they can get
Sure.
more artist covers, different covers. But
Right.
if you're a completionist and you like getting all the covers, if you were into Dynamite comics, you can forget it because they
Oh,
make
yeah.
50 plus covers of
Yeah.
every issue they do. And I'm like, no way.
You know what, Rick? Rick makes a good point. There's something under the surface here that just has, my opinion is, has Hasbro nervous about this line. And I don't know what it is. It's frustrating though. I know that. I just wish they'd just jump. Grow up here and jump. But that's my opinion. We welcome yours, right?
Well, I mean, Disney. I mean, look. So I guess the Punisher's now history. They're not going to do any more Punisher. I mean, that's pretty much written that character off.
Yeah, because they
He's a
took his
very
guns away
popular
and gave him
character.
swords.
Yeah. He's a very popular character. I don't. Hey, that's fine with me because I got his first appearance, and I hope it goes on up in price now. Maybe I'll retire early.
Yeah. Who can you guys tell me who this is? I should have offered to buy his coffee.
That was my wife.
Okay.
She was in
I
the
have to tell you,
line.
I don't know if you saw those, Melody, but there were posts all over the place of, it seems as though at least 1,700 people claimed to have bought Larry Hama coffee that first Saturday morning. I'm joking, but I saw multiple posts of people that said that they bought him coffee.
Oh yeah, because she was standing there in line with him at the coffee.
Yeah.
I get now what she's saying. Okay.
Right.
Oh, so, Nancy posted. You posted that.
Tag Melody in it.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
And the story is, my wife was standing in the coffee line with Larry Hama, and she didn't know who he was because she's not on the bus, and she didn't buy him no coffee, and I just kind of scolded her for not buying the man coffee.
That must have been kind of funny when she got to the signing booth and realized who she was standing next to. That actually must have been kind of funny.
It was. She's like, I was standing behind him.
I'm glad she didn't turn around and say, "Can you believe my husband's out there gawking over some old man that draws comic books out there?"
That sounds like something she would have said too.
That's funny. All right, gentlemen.
I'm sure he found it funny. If Larry Hama sees this, I'm sure he's gonna find that funny.
Right. I did tell the man. I'll end with that on that particular note. I did tell the man he has a standing invitation to supper if he and I are in the same place at the same time ever again. And you know what? I hope to see that happening. So
yeah,
let's just share some information because we're at 108. We're going to try to get these things shorter. So the announcements did come out this week of this Energon universe from Robert Kirkman's Skybound comics. They got both Transformers and the G.I. Joe license. Those are in a now officially a shared universe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There will be a Transformers comes out later this fall, as well as a Duke one-shot in December and a Cobra Commander one-shot in January.
I think they're going to be series now.
Well, see, this is.
I read that correctly earlier.
That all they've said. So I'm reading a press release. I've got it in front of me from Skybound. They're really, really, really vague about those two. Whether those are one shots or not, they're presenting them as one shots. What I can tell you is that issue 301 will pick up where the IDW Larry Hama series ended at issue 300 last year. He's writing the book again. Is it the same timeline as Duke and Cobra Commander? They have not said. So that one is going to be released on November 14th. So if you have a comic book shop, get that ordered. Also, in November, Skybound will also release G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, #1, Larry Hama Cut, a special reprint of the iconic first issue featuring Larry Hama's original unaltered scripting in a key moment that was changed in limited instances for the final printed edition. This is your first chance ever to discover the very first G.I. Joe comic exactly as Hama intended.
Oh.
I was actually privy to what the change was, because that happened over Saturday night at Joefest. So there was a bunch of discussions that went on Sunday morning about that, and one of the guys told me what the change was, but I'm not going to tell you. So it's actually, well, it's a line, but you know what? It wouldn't be a bad book to have.
Yeah.
So that is that. So there are 2 G.I. Joe books in November. Tuesday, November 14th is Real American Hero 301. And I was going to say something, and I'm not, because you know what? Those last 3 issues of the IDW run are actually pretty amazing. And if you haven't had a chance to read them, I'm not going to say anything else. But 301 picks up right where 300 left off. So get your orders in on that. Andy Kubert, what do you think about that? Doing covers.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So, thoughts, guys? Thoughts on any of that? We don't have a whole lot of information, to be perfectly honest with you.
No, not really.
I've heard that it's Duke and Cobra Commander are ongoing series. I've heard that they're one shots. I've heard that they're limited series. I've heard that they're part of the 301 storyline. I've heard that it's a completely different thing, and the 301 universe isn't the Energon universe. There's a ton of speculation out there, and Robert Kirkman is famous for this. That's the best I can tell you on that. So you guys got anything on that?
I'm just excited to see what the crossover is going to look like for Kirkman.
I think the violence is going to get amped way up.
I think so.
And maybe Hasbro's been waiting for this, because man, are we getting a lot of figures in 1 year?
Yeah.
I
think after the first couple of years, they're seeing how well it's selling, and now they're going to flood the market with stuff. That's what I'm afraid of. They're bad about doing that.
It looks it, don't it?
I mean, when you go back and look, if you look at, I think I can't remember the number of figures from 1982 to 1994. I want to say, I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look now. I can't remember. It was over 400 figures, I believe. But you take G.I. Joe versus Cobra, Spy Troops, and Valor versus Venom. I think in that 4-year period, they produced double of what they did from 82 to 94.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like they went crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, every time you turn around,
right.
A 5-pack or something coming out. And then when the 25th anniversary, they started out kind of slow with it, and it didn't last long. That those come out with the 2 5-packs, the G.I. Joe 5-pack and the Cobra 5-pack starting off. And those sold so quick that next thing you know, 2008, the next year, they were I think close to 200 figures put out that next year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's just like they find out they sell, man. They go overboard with it sometimes. I mean, you can't keep up. It's like,
well, I got to tell you, I saw that list again of what we were told was coming this year versus my pre-order list that I have. That I already know is, let's face it, between now and September. I have a ton of money floating out there in pre-orders all of a sudden. I mean, this is like a starvation diet, right? I mean, we're in binge mode now because I've been starving for the last 8 months. And now all of a sudden it's just like, holy cow, how many? I'm going to get 40 figures in the next 20 minutes. I mean, seriously? Because it's like, man, I don't know. I don't know. I got some plastic that's going to get stretched pretty thin in my wallet here come September. So
Yeah.
we'll see. While we're doing comics, and then we probably should sew it up. I bought a frame for this today. This was signed by Mr. Hama for the group. So it is what's the best way of putting it, guys? It's a giveaway of some point in time, right? I'm not going to say raffle because I'm not sure. I don't think we know what we're going to do with this yet.
Not yet. We're still debating.
Should we ask for ideas? Or I don't know. We're kicking it around, but I think we're going to kick it to death if we're not careful and not getting it. We're going to do something with this to get this to one of you guys. How's that? This is fantastic. This was actually cover work for the After Action Report books. So it's awesome stuff. Snake Eyes, Stalker, and Tommy in Vietnam. So awesome stuff. It's great stuff too, because Snake Eyes has got his bug repellent, the picture of his sister, and his toothbrush and his headband on his boonie hat. And Tommy looks like Tommy, and Stalker looks like Stalker. It's great stuff. So we're gonna figure out soon. Yes, exactly right. Yeah, exactly right, Rick. And you know what? You want to discuss that? You want to discuss that, Shane, or no?
Well,
before we go any further,
yeah, there's a rumor floating around that we are charging people to be in our group. That is not true at all. Our group is free to join. Our group is free to be in. That is just bullcrap.
Well, that's it.
As far as I'm concerned, everyone who said this is a moron. And if they don't like what I said, talk to me about it, because it's crap. We sold T-shirts, and that was optional to buy.
Yep.
John has one on. No one has to buy a T-shirt or buy anything to be in our group. This is a group for people in Alabama to get the toys they want. Whether it be vintage, new, or anything. If you got a problem with me going to the toy aisle buying toys for my friends that is in this group, and I consider you all friends, then come to me and say something about it. Don't go to the other guys. Come to me. I'm a man. We'll talk about it.
All I got to do, if it's somebody in this group, and all I got to do is post, hey, I'm looking for this, and we'll help them find it.
Exactly.
Real simple.
All right, yeah.
It's real simple. After we collect your dues, we will be more than happy to sell you toys. I mean, come on, get real. This is about keeping the toys away from the scalpers. Pure and simple. The only people that could possibly have a problem with this group is a scalper.
Exactly. Or someone that was disgruntled because they didn't answer the questions and wanted to get in the group.
Well, you know what? If you're just not capable of answering a handful of questions to join a Facebook group,
Or
you probably don't belong on Facebook.
Every group has questions.
They should.
The group.
Right.
If you got a problem with that, then I'm sorry. You're just not going to be in this group.
Yeah,
This is a group for Alabama collectors specifically.
Right.
Nothing else. We're about helping each other. I have met tons of people through this group that I respect, call friend, by helping them with what they need. And I've met tons of people through this group that has helped me get things that I was wanting.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't see where there's any other way of putting it.
So it's interesting that we're making some type of dent somewhere, because we're hearing this, that members are being given a hard time because they're wearing the shirt.
Twice it has happened. So
yes. So
one time at a local store here, and one time at Joefest.
at Joefest, right? Which
if he would have not been alone and he had been with us, it would have been a different story. I guarantee you.
I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I can tell you this much: my Emmett was running the grounds. He had full range of that room.
Oh
He
yeah,
was wearing his shirt. Nobody said a word to him.
I saw him 500 times.
Oh yeah,
He was like a
My
road
wife
runner.
my wife was wearing her shirt. My littlest, he was wearing his shirt. If you say something to him, you're going to have a fight on your hands, anyways. But no, we didn't have any problems. I think this might be a selective thing.
I think it was just a couple of drunk guys at Toy Fest.
There was enough. The alcohol was free flowing on Friday night.
Yeah,
There was a lot of guys were not walking a straight line by the time we got in there at 6:00 on Friday night. So maybe that's an incentive for us to make more T-shirts, right? I mean,
they're coming.
we're you know what? If you want to be part of something bigger, and we're not going to say much of anything, but there's a potential for us to get bigger in the next 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've got a couple of we got at least one opportunity to really expand our influence. How is that a right way to put it? I think that's
probably that'd be the proper way.
Without giving much of anything away just yet. Hopefully within
we have a lot of
2.5 weeks
in the works.
Yeah, I have to wait for somebody to get back from a trip.
Yeah.
Before we can discuss it. And he had said at Joefest, he had said 3 weeks. So, and I would not be surprised if he's in touch with us before I even have a chance to be in touch with him.
Right.
But we will see. So, you know what, guys? We're making a dent. We're actually doing this for you. It's not just about us. We just happen to be the faces. But we're actually trying to build something for all of you guys. So that's enough of that. We're never going to get you the scoops. We're never going to be that, we're never going to look. We don't have a hotline to Lenny's desk. We are not ever going to be able to tell you what's coming out in 2027, right? Even if we have to lie, we're not going to do that either. We're not that group, but we're just guys that are telling you stuff. We're sharing information. You actually have an opportunity to talk, which you don't with most of these other guys. And it's about stuff that actually directly affects you. So,
and we're definitely welcoming anyone to come on the show that wants to come on.
Well, yeah.
Any member, anytime you want to come on, be part of it, just holler at us. We'll get you on.
Right. Yeah. It's that simple. We're not camera hogs. This isn't Larry Hama's bestie show. even though that's 100% true. It's not. It's not. It's not. I gotta change that before next week because that'll keep showing up. Let's. That's enough. You guys have got it. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Participate.
Bama Toy Merch on YouTube. Like and subscribe if you want to watch them there.
Right.
Well, join us live on Facebook. Next week's guest.
Guys familiar with these? This
was that a Devil's Due? That was a Devil's Due.
Wait, Snake Eyes is going to be on next week? Oh.
Snake Eyes is going to be on this week. It's going to be a really long interview, too.
Yeah.
You remember this guy? What? Remember this guy? Josh Blaylock. They were Image at first, and then it was Devil's Due. So it was affectionately called Volume 2 when these came out in 2001. Josh Blaylock started writing the G.I. Joe book after just a real coup. He got the license, and he was a young guy in his 20s. He got the license to A Real American Hero, and he started doing that series of books. It picked up 7 years after issue 155. Okay? We talk about it briefly. This was the first Joe Con Josh Blaylock has been at in 15 years. He has not been to one since they lost the license in 2008. I saw the man and I asked him, knew who he was, asked him, you want to do an interview? He said, yeah, you know what? I'd love to do an interview. I haven't been to one of these in 15 years. I said, you seriously? He goes, no. So it may be safe to say we've got the first interview with Josh Blaylock at a Joe convention in 15 years. We did this Sunday morning. It's about a 25-minute interview, which is good. He's a super nice guy too. We talk about stuff. And I'm going to tell you guys, if you never read these, went to issue 46, I think he said. And then there was a transition. It went to America's Elite. And it was fully under Devil's Due at that point in time. But it was the same storyline, same timeline. And it is separate from the Larry Hama run, the 155.5 to 300. This is a different timeline. Not a different, well, let's call it a different universe.
Yeah.
This story is completely different. And it was actually a very good storyline. It was actually great. So
I enjoyed it.
We've got Josh Blaylock next week. Recorded. I'm still in semi-contact with him, and we have a direct line to his personal assistant.
Yep.
So and I had spoken to him about possibly doing a longer live interview, and he seemed pretty receptive to that. So we'll see. You know how this stuff goes. But Josh Blaylock's next week. A good interview with him. I was nowhere near as nervous with him as I was with Larry Hama, and that's
Hama father.
Yeah, it was a good interview. We've got interviews set up for weeks, and we got some good stuff, guys. We got some really cool stuff coming on.
Yep.
And it was good to kick it off with Larry Hama. 'Cause we got some cool stuff. So,
and for those that don't know, apparently Chuck Norris showed up Saturday at Joefest.
he was there.
We did not get an interview with him because none of us had the nerve to go up and ask him for one.
Nope.
So,
Nope. You know what is really weird? I talked to this happens a lot. I end up getting sucked in talking to cops because it's just it is what it is. But I was talking to two of the deputies that were there, and we were talking about the whole Chuck Norris thing. They had no idea he was there. He snuck in the building. They did a photo op, and he left. The cops didn't even know he was there, which I thought was kind of strange because, I mean, they weren't real happy that they didn't have a heads up. Because, man, if something had happened,
The man don't need security. He
he
protects
might,
cops. Come on, man. Start going.
he might want to stop buying his own press, I think. There was a guy. The whole discussion started because one of the sheriffs was looking at a guy behind me that was standing there talking to another guy, and he's standing there just like this, and he's got that GameStop plastic Snake Eyes replica.
Mm-hmm.
And I was standing there. I had just got done doing something with Mr. Hama, and I had stepped back because there was other people there. And they're looking, and they're looking at me, and they're looking at this guy, and they're looking at me, and they're looking at this guy. And I finally just said to one of the deputies, I said, "That's plastic." And he said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I have one of the steel ones. That's plastic."
Yeah.
And he goes, and the other rolls his eyes, and he goes, "Yeah, well, you never can be too sure." He says, "We had a guy come in here yesterday with a leg holster." I said, "And don't tell me." And he goes, "Oh yeah, you guessed it. Somebody walked in there with a real pistol on their leg for cosplay."
Yeah.
That wasn't taken too kindly. So, Emmett's bugged me about taking my Snake Eyes sword. That museum replica sword, that's a sword. That's not a toy.
Right.
That's a sword. That is a weapon. We're not running around at conventions with real weapons. It's not
that
an Uzi. I mean,
that's probably why Chuck Norris slipped in and out, because he is a lethal weapon, so he wasn't allowed in there. So he had to sneak in, sneak out.
the poor guy didn't have a permit to carry himself, right?
Chuck Norris can speak Spanish in 3 different languages.
Shut up.
And he can sign in 4 different languages.
Jeez. Well, I would love to talk to that man. I'd like to talk to that man to see what he really thinks about all of these Chuck Norris jokes. It's probably pretty embarrassing.
I've seen that somebody interviewed him, asked him about that. I can't remember now how it got started. He was doing an interview or something, and something got said in the interview, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And the next thing you know, it's like there's like 1,000,001 different.
Oh, terrible. So, what do you think, guys? You got anything else?
That's all I got tonight.
All right.
Like and subscribe. Alabama Toy Marks on YouTube.
Yep. I'll just end with this. I don't know how many of you guys noticed my my interviewing prowess, but I actually stumped Larry Hama with a question. I don't know if you guys picked up on that or not.
What do you collect?
No, about the crossover.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See,
Yeah.
Right there, Larry Hama's bestie.
Yeah.
I'm such an idiot. Good night, members. Good night, gentlemen. Next week, Sunday night, Josh Blaylock and whatever else it is that Hasbro does to us in the next 7 days. Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.